Margaret was 83, a woman whose life was written in the wrinkles of her skin and the silence of her halls. It began with a phone call, not an emergency, but something far more frightening for a mother, a suggestion. Her daughter Claire's voice was gentle, yet the words felt like a closing door. "Mom, it's time to talk about your safety." Safety. In the world of the elderly, that word is often a polite code for a nursing home, for a cage. For 46 years, this house breathed with the presence of her husband, Richard. Now it only echoed. She tried to remain independent, but the jars grew tighter and the basement stairs felt like a mountain range. One morning, a slip in the shower shattered her confidence. She didn't fall, but the fear finally took root. Fearing the dark, she finally agreed to move in with Claire. She thought family would be her sanctuary. The first week was filled with laughter, family dinners, and the warmth of being needed once again. But soon, she became the invisible ghost in their busy lives. She heard the whispers. She was a burden. Desperate to stop being a burden, Margaret finally agreed to try the facility, a place with a reputation for care. It was clean. It was professional. But to Margaret, it felt like checking into a hotel where you were never allowed to leave. The rules were absolute. Breakfast at 7, lunch at noon, dinner at 5, a time she had never eaten in her entire life. At 9 o'clock, the hallway lights would dim. A knock on the door would follow. "Mrs. Turner, it's time to sleep now." 83 years of making her own choices, and now, a stranger was telling her when to close her eyes. One evening, she wanted to breathe the night air. She headed for the door, but a hand stopped her. "Safety policy," they said. Safety policy. Two words that had become her prison bars. She wasn't sick. She was just being kept alive, not living. After 3 weeks, she called Claire. "I'd rather struggle in freedom than be comfortable in a cage," she whispered. She returned to her empty house. The stairs were still steep and the jars were still tight. But the air, it finally felt fresh. She sat by her window, watching the world go by, wondering if this was all that was left for her. Until she saw Sarah. Margaret watched from her window as her neighbor, Sarah, paced the sidewalk in tears. A single mother drowning in life's demands. Without thinking, Margaret walked outside. She didn't offer money or a cure. She offered the one thing she had in abundance: time. "I walk past the school every day anyway," Margaret said softly. "Let me pick up your daughter for you." That small offer changed everything. The next day, Margaret stood at the school gates, waiting for young Emma. Suddenly, Margaret wasn't just a patient or a burden. She was a storyteller, a protector, and a friend. In return, Sarah brought over hot meals. Her husband fixed the leaky faucets Margaret couldn't reach. A silent pact was born. She realized that money buys services, but it doesn't buy relationships. She didn't need a facility. She needed to matter. Margaret is 83. She still lives alone, but she is never lonely. She found the space between independence and a cage. Age didn't make her worthless. It just changed what she had to offer. She gave time, and in return, she found life. Thank you for joining us in the Silence Room. Remember, your purpose doesn't expire. It only evolves.